We're getting ready to have our 75th year of service to veterans and active duty military in Alpharetta, Georgia. But this evening, we have the post commander, and he has something he would like to do. Introduce
Thank you, Roger. Mayor Gilvin, members of the council, I'm Freddie Mahoney, the post commander down at Post 201, and it is my pleasure to present you with a formal invitation for Old Soldiers Day coming up 6 August. We hope you all make the time to come down and enjoy with the festivities with us. We're going to have some pretty impressive guest speakers, and we just appreciate it if you'd spread the word and have as many people come as you can possibly round up. Let me, Mr. Mayor, let me present you with this formal.
Speaking of guest speakers, we have our
Thanks, sir.
Old Soldiers Day chairman. Would you talk about who is going to be speaking this year?
Well, I don't know, I'm not used to speaking in front of a microphone or people. Hi, I'm Scott Childress. Was the judge here at one point. It's nice to be back. Nice to, yeah. Hey, Bob, good to see you. We're going to have former Mayor Chuck, what was his last name?
It's in the letter.
Chuck Martin? Is that his name? Yeah, nobody knows him, right? He's going to come and share some of his memories of Old Soldiers Day parade with the folks. And he's going to introduce our main speaker, Major General John King, who's also the State Insurance and Fire Commissioner, who'll be bringing us a patriotic message. We're going to have the Buffalo Soldiers and their horses that the kids can, I don't say mount, but they can get up on the saddle and take pictures with them. The Masonic Lodge is preparing barbecue, fresh barbecue for folks to eat, and we invite everyone to come out and enjoy the commemoration with us. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, sir. Hopefully it'll be great weather Saturday.
Thank you.
We have made this a family-friendly event, so please share the word with your constituents, your friends, and invite them to come and bring their families to a family-friendly event. First Saturday in August at the American Legion Post 201 in Alpharetta, Georgia. Thank you so much for allowing us to be with you this evening.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you for your service to our nation.
Thank you.
So it is 6:30 now, and we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a meeting for July 25th, 2022 of the Alpharetta City Council. We do have all members present and accounted for, except for Councilman Dorito, who will not be joining us this evening. And as I'll note for the record, we're all here except for Councilman Dorito, and we begin our meetings with a Pledge of Allegiance. And since we are honored to have a Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame member, class of 2019, in our presence, I thought it would be good if he would lead us in the pledge. Mr. Wise, if you would.
Thank you very much. Everybody on your feet. Once a sergeant, always a sergeant. Folks, freedom is not free. Someone has to pay for it. When you see a veteran, walk up to them and say thank you for your service to our country. When you see a first responder, you walk up to them and say thank you for your service to our community. Remembering freedom is not free, and service is not free. All veterans, you can salute. Anybody might have on a hat, please remove the hat because we're getting ready to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Cross your heart and join me in pledging allegiance to the flag of the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
Amen. Thank you, sir. And it looks like the first item on our agenda tonight might be well attended. If you haven't noticed, we've got a whole pool full of people in the back of the chambers this evening.
We'll be here all night.
So we do have presentations and proclamations, and the first item up is Alpharetta Shark Swim Team Season Recognition. So if Christine Young will join me, and if all of y'all can try to crowd around down here at the front.
I think it should dive right in.
Oh, I thought my pun was bad. Councilman Hypes, if you'll join me.
Okay, come on down, Sharks. While they're coming down, Mayor and City Council, I want to thank you for giving us the time here tonight to honor our Shark swim team. And James Drinker just reminded me that it is Shark Week, so it's very apropos that we're here tonight. Come on up, guys.
Oh, in front? Here, come up here,
Come on
Ishan.
up here, guys. Taller in the back, shorter in the front.
Yeah, y'all face that way.
Get
Come
up
back
there.
here and then face everybody out there.
So this Shark team, as they're coming up, I just wanted to let you all know we had almost 200 swimmers this season. And it was really great for everybody to be back after the COVID pandemic. And it was the first time that we'd all been back on deck with other teams. And to look out my window and see, oh my gosh, almost 500 people on that deck. It was crazy. So it was exciting. And I'm going to turn this over to Coach Mimo, and she's going to give you some information about the fantastic season that they had.
Thank you, Christine. I'm going to just read off of here because I'm great talking to kids, but not as much adults. So, Alpharetta Shark Swim Team had an incredible summer. We had 5 dual meets this season and went undefeated against City of Milton, Pembroke, Glen Abbey, Windward, and City of Roswell. We scored a total of 2,588 points against their 1,256 points. We had 7 swimmers, some of whom are here. You guys just wave when I say your name. Haley Bulldog, Alyssa Suarez, Riley Merchant, Olivia Pimlett, Delaney Chang, and Colin Holgerson, who broke 14 long-standing team records, including one from 1993. Haley Bulldog, who's here, where's Haley? Haley Bulldog also broke an Atlanta Swim Association record in the 25 freestyle with a time of 14:92. The Sharks took home first place, that's what the big trophy is, at the Session 6 Division Championships, which consisted of 17 teams from the league, and the Sharks had an astounding 141 swimmers with top 10 finishes. I was also honored to be awarded for the 3rd time Coach of the Year by the Atlanta Swim Association. And beyond the accolades of swimming, we also were able to raise money this year for the National Alliance on Mental Illness, as well as the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and we raised a little over $2,800 through our fundraising efforts. So it was an awesome season, super proud of our team. Thank you.
Now the challenge is, how do we all get into one picture?
Yeah, y'all squeeze.
Are you interested in getting a picture?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if you turn sideways.
You guys come down as far as you can, so we're less wide of a shot.
If they turn sideways, they can fit a little more.
Yeah.
Guys, turn sideways, turn this way.
Yeah, so Jason and Tommy, and then we can get in down.
Come in over here.
You can look at them.
Can some of you guys kneel in the front?
The man with the
Yeah,
big
y'all
camera
look
from
at-
the newspaper.
Behind the
Oh, boys, at the end, come kneel in front.
And otherwise, you're not in the picture.
Yeah, we want you in the
It's
picture.
in the newspaper.
We get everybody? Thank you.
Young swimmers, anybody have anything they want to say about this season? Go Sharks! Way to go.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
You guys really do Alpharetta proud. I got to tell you what, the other cities don't get a chance to say we got first place in all these things. We have the best coach, so thank you for doing Alpharetta proud.
Thank
That's
you for
awesome.
recognizing us. This is fun.
Thank you very much. Guys, you're so quiet back there, too. Thank you. These are awesome. You can tell she's a teacher. Good job, you guys. Organizing.
Councilman Merkel, or Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, if you want to join me for the presentation. Lance, please join us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, before you, we will be recognizing Yards, which is the 20th Tech Alpharetta graduate from the Innovation Center. I'd like to invite Karen, Jade, and Jason's team on up here.
While they're coming, if you think swimming in pools and competitions is tough, swimming with the sharks is really when you're starting up a company. And so we're proud to be able to acknowledge the great accomplishments of this startup community right here in Alpharetta.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, Lance. We're just so thankful to be, one, in this country, two, to be running our business here in Alpharetta, for the environment that's been made here through technology, and for Tech Alpharetta for everything they've done to just cultivate and nurture startups here in the city of Alpharetta. It's awesome. So we appreciate it. We're thankful. And we'd like to give you a little football to play with during the meeting, just in case, things get out of control.
While you've got the mic, why don't you tell people what you do in the company that you started?
Absolutely. So Jason Perez, I'm CEO of Yards. We develop technology to make it easy for contractors to manage all the assets they rent and own. So we developed intelligence to aggregate all the different rental companies into one place, and then develop systems to manage the life cycle of equipment. In English, that's all that heavy equipment you see on the freeway and all the stuff you're sitting on the side of the road. People use our system to make sure they don't forget it, and they make sure that it's not breaking down and they can take care of it.
Fantastic, thank you. Karen, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you for having us tonight. The Sharks were a tough act to follow, I have to say. But I just want to congratulate Yards on being our 20th graduate from our Innovation Center, and point out that they joined literally right at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020 and were there every single day without fail for many, many hours a day. It got to kind of be like family having you guys around, so we're really missing you. But they graduated out just this past month, June 2022. They're headquartered here in Alpharetta, and I have no doubt that you guys are going to continue to scale and grow and be wildly successful. So congratulations.
Thank you.
He's being modest. I'll just tell you that Lance and I had the opportunity to be interviewed for a business magazine recently, where we were proud to have him as one of the employers, one of the startups in our community that wanted to be interviewed and talk about why he was in Alpharetta. And I have to tell you, the reason he's here is because he loves this community. He chose to be here, and he bragged on this community and why it attracted him and his company here, to the point where it made me blush. So that's saying something. I just want to appreciate your investment in our community, and congratulations. It's fun to celebrate the milestones.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
We would love a photo.
Nope. Squeeze in.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, man. Congratulations.
Thanks
Now I
so
can't
much.
wait for you to expand and get to the next level.
Yes, sir.
We'll have you back. So the next item on our agenda this evening, maybe not quite as fun, but almost, is the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of the council meeting minutes from the meeting of July 11th, 2022, and alcoholic beverage license applications First one being PH-22-AB-19 TBB 122 LLC, 122 Marietta Street, Alpharetta, Georgia 30009. And the second item is PH-22-AB-20 Flourish Restaurants LLC, DBA Foundation Social Eatery, and Petty FSE 55 Roswell Street, Suite 100, Alpharetta, Georgia 30009. Item number 3 is PH-22-AB-21 CBS 2500 Old Milton LLC, DBA Craft Burger by Shane, 2500 Old Milton Parkway, Suite 100, Alpharetta, Georgia 30009. And that is all on the consent agenda. Is there anyone who would like to remove anything from the consent agenda this evening? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd offer a motion to approve the consent agenda and the liquor licenses as presented this evening.
We'll have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, a second by Councilman Hipes. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote no. And it does pass unanimously. We have a public hearing coming up next this agenda, and the first item and only item listed on the public hearing for this evening is Z-22-10 V-22-22 1110 Upper Hembry Road. Director Cook, I believe you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and Council. The public hearing item before you is on Upper Hembry Road. It's shown to you on the screen. And the applicant is requesting a rezoning and a variance to allow for a single-family detached home to be converted to an office on approximately 1 acre. A rezoning is requested from R15 to OP, which is office professional, and a variance is requested to allow gravel parking. The property is located at 1110 Upper Hembry Road on the north side of Upper Hembry Road and just west of Harris Road. And I have a picture of that existing structure. Property is developed with a single-family attached home. Surrounding properties are zoned R12, that's to the north, and O&I to the east, west, and south. Birch Hollow subdivision is located to the north, and Peach State Pool Service and Builders is located to the west of the property. IT Security Compliance Group is located to the east, and there's actually a medical plaza that's located across the street. So this property is surrounded by office, except to the north of the property, which is the existing residential neighborhood. Have a site plan for the proposal. It may help if I zoom in a little bit. Again, a variance is requested for the front gravel parking area. There are a total of 9 parking spaces, which meets the requirement for a regular office or a medical office. If the use is a regular office, it's 7 parking spaces. If it's medical, it's 9 parking spaces. So they will use an existing concrete driveway. The house is about 95 feet off of Upper Hembry Road, and they do have a setback of 65 feet. So the portion that will be gravel for the 7 parking spaces, it's located in an area that's has a lot of tree coverage, and I'll show you that picture, what that looks like on the front. So a lot of existing trees along the front, as well as that concrete drive that would take you to the area that's internal between the trees and the house for the 7 gravel parking spaces. And if you think about areas that we've allowed gravel, right now we only have that permitted within the downtown. However, this is something that when staff looked at the proposal, because it is the gravel would be, paving would be impacting the tree coverage, we did concur and recommend approval of the variance for the gravel parking. The other things that we look at for the gravel request is the fact that will it run and spill into Upper Hembry, or will it be visible from Upper Hembry? But because the entrance will remain a concrete driveway, we didn't see an impact along Upper Hembry. Past variance conditions have required a grid system under the gravel areas that would address soil compaction and, of course, make the gravel stay in place. So with our recommendation, there's also some recommendations on how that's constructed to make sure that it is within a grid system and also a bio-barrier. Bio-barrier under a gravel parking area, what that does is it diverts the tree roots as they're growing, they're close by, and it diverts the tree roots to other areas that don't have the gravel and the compaction on top of those tree roots. Existing structure is about 1,800 square feet. Again, just the one access from Upper Hembry Road. No additions are proposed to the structure. It's set back 95 feet. It does meet the future land use designation of professional office. They did identify 3 specimen trees that are in the front yard of the property, which will be saved. In addition, there is a 50-foot undisturbed buffer that's required adjacent to the neighborhood to the north. And if there's not a heavy existing planting in that 50 feet, then they will be required to add additional plantings if it's approved. The report submitted by the applicant states that property owners within 500 feet were notified. They did not receive any comments. We also had a community zoning information meeting that was held on June the 8th, and we did not have any comments for that community zoning information meeting. This item was presented to the Planning Commission on July 7th. Staff recommended approval subject to 7 conditions. There were no public comments at that meeting, and after discussion, Planning Commission did recommend approval subject to the staff's recommended conditions, which are: 1, approximately 0.99 acres shall be zoned OP and limited to professional or medical office. Site shall be developed substantially similar to the submitted site layout dated 4/20/2022, except for modifications required to comply with the conditions below and subject to meeting all city code requirements and conditions of zoning. 2, exterior modifications to the existing structure shall be residential in character as determined and approved by staff. 3, developer shall dedicate necessary right-of-way along Upper Hembry Road and shall improve the streetscape with curb and gutter, minimum 6-foot planter planted with street trees, minimum 5-foot sidewalk, and pedestrian lighting as approved by staff. Sidewalk shall be installed with minimal impact trees as approved by staff. 4, landscape strip along Upper Hembry Road shall be planted with appropriate landscape material in consideration of spacing limitations based on the existing trees as approved by staff. 5 has the specimen tree list, the specimen trees to be required to be maintained. 6, a 50-foot undisturbed buffer shall be provided at the rear of the property and shall be replanted where sparse with a mix of evergreen trees and shrubs, as approved by staff. And 7, gravel parking lots shall be permitted as depicted on the submitted site layout dated 4/20/2022 to protect the tree roots. A grid system and bio-barriers shall be required under the gravel parking area, and stone or paver edging material shall be required around the perimeter of the gravel parking area to maintain rock base as approved by staff. And that concludes staff presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer those.
Do we have any questions for Director Cook? Councilman Will?
Why gravel and not paved on the driveway?
It's because of the impact to the trees. There's a lot of trees along the front. And when you pave that area, it's more impact to the tree roots, the specimen trees that we're requesting that they save or conditioning that they save. Specifically, it's maybe hard to see here, but 1020 is one of the trees that we recommend saving, 1022, 1023. So although the blue dot is showing where the tree is located, you have a larger canopy around these trees. So the request to have the gravel parking, we were in agreement with because of the less of an impact to the trees. Some of the things we worry about for gravel is how it spills out into the roadway. And for this, they're still going to have the concrete drive. So we believe that it's maintained, it's behind the tree covers, there's a landscape strip, so you will not, visually it'll be difficult to see the 7 parking spaces.
Okay.
I have a follow-up question to that as well. I've got concerns about this because I know in the past we've had people, I believe it was Pure Taqueria, that spent a fortune on their parking lot because they were forced to build a pervious area. And I'm supportive of pervious parking, don't get me wrong, but I'm concerned, especially you're talking about doing gravel parking lot along Upper Hembury Road. And so, since this is unusual, I'm a little curious about how we're going to stop everybody from wanting to put gravel parking lots on commercial properties as they convert residential properties, because unless we're going to be consistent and allow everybody to do it and have parameters that support having pervious parking, I'm a little skeptical of picking parcels to allow it.
And we do allow it in the downtown, and that was a good point. I think it was actually because of some of the historic homes that we wanted to make sure were maintained. So we have a large area in the downtown called the Heritage District where we allow gravel. And although Pure wasn't able to utilize that, the new restaurant going in beside of it, Theo's, is able to utilize that if they want to utilize using the gravel parking. And I think you're right. Every parcel that we look at, every request, we have to look at it on its own merits. And for this particular request, because it had the large coverage along the front, over 65 feet along the frontage of trees and the large specimen trees that they were going to save along the front, that was one of the considerations. The fact that this large, the concrete drive will remain. And to us, there's a lot of safety concern when you put gravel for a parking lot. But with this, it's contained between the building and as well as the concrete drive. So that was part of the reason we thought that it would work for this application. And then, of course, because it's 7 parking spaces, it's not a large parking lot. So those are, and because they're keeping the existing house. So I think those were some of our, some of the reasons that we recommended approving the variance.
Do they plan to keep the driveway concrete?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you've seen the pictures of the driveway that's all crumbled up because of all the roots from the trees.
Yes. So we will, as part of this this site plan, it only shows the internal gravel where the 7 parking spaces are. Mm-hmm. And you're right, with the existing driveway, we're going to have to make sure that that's something that's in good order as part of their land disturbance permit. And if it needs upgraded, it's got to be upgraded.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Hypes?
Here's another picture.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciated the initial explanation about how paving over the root system could potentially damage the trees, and I would certainly like to keep as many trees as possible, and I'm willing to consider that trade-off. Then I heard just now, in response to the mayor's question, a variety of other reasons why gravel and pervious may be preferable. Do we have an opinion from our arborists that these trees will not survive if it's, or are the trees being removed, or are they being paved over the root system?
It's paving over the roots.
And do we have an opinion that that will compromise the trees, or is just, it's not as good?
I don't, I think probably with the arborist, And we didn't ask him that question, if it would still survive without it, but there's better survivability if you do have a system.
I mean, I would like,
It's the grid and the.
yeah, I would like to weigh my own vote based off of gravel will save trees, but if the gravel versus the paving isn't a factor in saving the trees, then I'll remove that from my consideration. And so,
It's definitely better for the trees to not pave over or grade within the tree canopy.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you, ma'am. Would the applicant like to come forward?
Hello, Mayor.
If you would, just please state your name and address for the record.
Sure, I'm Ben Heidenreich. I live in, on 15450 Alpha Woods Drive in Milton, Georgia. And I'm here on behalf of the applicant. They're actually traveling right now. But we, really just to follow up on everything that she said, we've accepted all of the staff's recommendations. Everything has been accepted that they thought was important that we should do. Further willing to continue to do that. It's a small fencing company that's going to be going here. And they're great people, be great members of the community. It's a startup, and they certainly appreciate your consideration of the application and so forth. Thank you very much.
Any questions for the applicant? Seeing no one, I'll ask you, is this a problem if we were not to allow a gravel parking lot?
I certainly think that it would be, knowing the topography of the property, if you put an impervious, the topography of the property from Upper Hembry Road slopes down toward the home. And in my opinion, because I know about the grading and so forth that has occurred with the property for the waterproofing of the basement, if you were to place impervious in that area where the parking area will be, it's going to create further runoff toward the home, which I think would be worse than allowing the gravel with the treatment that's going to be underneath the gravel to flow along with the existing irrigation treatment that's been done so far. I think the impervious surface would be a better choice from that perspective, just knowing the topography of the property and what they've been through, waterproofing the basement and so on and so forth.
Okay, thanks, sir. No other questions for the applicant? Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, sir.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this zoning matter, now's your chance. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd offer a motion to approve Z-22-10/V-22-22-1110 Upper Embry Road as presented here this evening.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, a second by Councilman Binder, and that was to approve Z-22-10 V-22-22-1110 Upper Hembry Road. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merkel.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on the gravel parking lot. I do understand impervious, and I think that is a consideration for this spot. I didn't realize there was a fence company coming in. I'm assuming they're not storing fence on site, that this gravel lot's not to wash trucks and be the front doormat for muddy trucks, but I do feel that if this were to change usage, that removing a gravel parking lot and putting in something more permanent would be easier to do than to have a permanent parking lot put in there currently. So that's why I'm willing to go ahead and accept this one as an exception.
Any other comments? Seeing none, unfortunately, I won't be able to support the motion. I mean, I could say the same thing, quite frankly, if we were going to be making gravel parking lots appropriate, there's a lot of subdivisions we've approved on Cummings Street and Academy Street and Canton Street that I would have loved to have seen this option presented. But I can't support having a gravel parking lot in the front yard on Upper Henry Road, an area that's already, let's say, not one of our most beautiful corridors. And I'm not willing to grant them the assumption that there won't be a lot of trucks slogging around on that property at some point. So I can't support it, but I wish them the best of luck if it passes. All that being said, all those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote no. And it does pass 4-2.
Thank you very much.
That'll wrap up public hearing portion of tonight's meeting, and we'll move on to new business. First item under new business is the Alpha Link Project Framework Agreement with GDOT. Pete Sasevich, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is the project framework agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation. Kathy Cook and her team filed for a grant for $1 million from the ARC, and we were awarded such with a $250,000 match. And to refresh everybody's memory, the Alpha Link connects Encore Parkway with Haynesbridge. Stretch right here. And the North Fulton CID is currently working on a tunnel design underneath Haynesbridge Road. So all these projects are starting to come together for us. First step is for the city of Alpharetta to acknowledge to GDOT that we will accept the $1 million. We will acquire a $250,000 match, and anything above the $1 million threshold for design would be the responsibility of the city of Alpharetta. Hence the project framework agreement that GDOT is going to make us sign moving forward. Step one for us is to acquire signatures and approvals from Mayor and Council. Step two is then to issue an RFQ to follow the federal procurement guidelines for the project. And we're also requesting $35,000 to be allocated to Atkins to control this process, to write the RFQ for us, to manage the process altogether, help us score, help us come up with the specifications, interview, and this process could take us as short as about 4 months, or it could go as long as 6 months, depending on how the qualifications come back and how many firms we have to interview. And then we'll be back, if this moves forward, for approval with a consulting firm for a recommendation to move forward.
Any questions for Pete? Thanks, sir. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards on this item?
We do not, sir.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this matter, now's your chance. Seeing none, close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
I'd like to ask the council to please approve the Alpha Link Project Framework Agreement with Georgia Department of Transportation Award in an amount not to exceed $35,000 to Atkins for RFQ and RFP professional services associated with the federal procurement, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
I have a motion by Councilman Mitchell, a second by Councilman Hypes, and that was to approve the Alpha Link Project Framework Agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation award an amount not to exceed $35,000 to Atkins for RFQ, RFP professional services associated with federal procurement, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents. Any comments? Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. This has been a long time coming. We've talked about it in great detail, and so it's nice to see this segment of the project move forward. So thank you for all your work on it, Pete.
Will do. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. Next item up, Pete, will be the Windward Parkway pedestrian bridges and drainage, RFQ 22-1006.
Yes. Mayor and Council, before you tonight is actually a T-Splosh project. This was under T-Splosh 2, as well as a Tier 1 project. It's the 4 pedestrian bridges on Windward Parkway. And there are 4 because it's a divided median. So we have to build a bridge on each side of the median there. So working with the team, we got together, and while we were going through the process of identifying what we needed to do, we were looking through our stormwater records and noticed there was also a drainage improvement project that needed to occur over near the Fairways subdivision, which is just west of the first set of bridges, or sorry, just east of the first set of bridges from the Greenway now. So we lumped all that together, issued an RFQ, and the Moffett & Nichols is the highest rated firm, and their cost came in at $449,624. And we started looking at our to-do list, our stack of work going on, and to be perfectly blunt and honest, we are saturated at this point, so we contacted Atkins to take on a full leadership role of this project. So before we would have one person from Public Works handling half the tasks and Atkins taking the other portion of tasks. This time Atkins is taking care of everything for us on this project. The full project management, reviewing the construction drawings, working with the permitting process and everything. So Moffett & Nichols schedule is approximately 18 months. That is questionable depending on how the permitting process through the U.S. Army Corps and the state works, given we're going to be working in the floodplain in that area with the pedestrian bridges.
Any questions for Pete? Good job, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, sir.
However, if you wanted to come forward and speak on these pedestrian bridge projects, now's your chance. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to award RFQ 22-1006 to Moffett & Nichols in an amount not to exceed $449,624 for performing design services of the Windward Parkway pedestrian bridge and drainage issue, and approve Atkins North America, Inc.'s proposal for program management and plan review services in an amount not to exceed $157,500. Authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Second. I have a motion by Councilman Willis, second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, and that was to award RFQ 22-1006 to Moffett & Nichols in an amount not to exceed $449,624 for performing design services of the Windward Parkway pedestrian bridges and drainage issue, and approve Atkins North America Incorporated's proposal for the program management and plan review services in an amount not to exceed $157,500, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents. In discussion? All in favor, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Pete. We appreciate it, man. Good to have those projects underway. Item C will be the right to enter agreement between Alpharetta Family Skate Center LLC and the City of Alpharetta, Georgia.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So this is a right to enter agreement related to the Davis Drive extension going from basically in front of the Alpharetta Skate Center on Davis Drive. So we are working on closing the property that we need. That involves acquisition of about 976 square feet of right-of-way and 2,480 square feet for a temporary construction easement. Ultimately, the North Fulton CID and their contractor are ready to go, but because we haven't been able to close on the property, that's why we have this right to enter agreement. So this right to enter agreement would give the contractor completing the work on the Davis Drive the ability to go in and work on the project even though we haven't yet closed, which we are anticipating getting that resolved. Ultimately, right now the holdup is getting the lender's approval, and that's just a corporate holdup. The documentation's been sent to them. It's just a matter of getting it formally approved. And so to avoid delaying the project, that's why we have the right to enter agreement.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Eswine? Seeing none. Councilman Will?
To be clear, we don't own this property, but we're giving somebody the right to go work on it?
We don't own it yet. We fully anticipate doing that. We've negotiated everything out. We just need a stamp of approval from the property owner's lender, which should be forthcoming soon. It's just a matter of getting that final documentation.
Is there any
but-
chance
but
whatsoever that it doesn't close?
I've not been given any understanding that that's likely to happen, no.
Okay.
Any other questions from Ms. Eswine? Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, sir.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this item, now is your chance to do so. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that council approve the right to enter agreement between Alpharetta Family Skate Center LLC and the city of Alpharetta, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Have a motion by Councilman Hypes, second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. And that was to approve the right to enter agreement between the Alpharetta Family Skate Center LLC and the city of Alpharetta, Georgia. Any discussion? All those in favor, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote no. And it does pass unanimously. Next item up will be the roof replacement at Fire Station 84. Director Harris.
Believe it or not, I worked with my brother in roofing for one summer, so I'm obviously an expert. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you is an award of contract for the replacement of the roof at Fire Station 84. The metal roof segment to Garland, DBS Inc., under a competitive co-op procurement in the amount of $267,420. You may recall Garland, we've worked closely with them for many years under this process. They're actually the manufacturer, but then they actually solicit and receive bids or quotes and then award to the actual vendor to contractor to build the roof. That way we can point the finger at one company and if there's any issues down the road. So I think since my department ensures that we stay on top of these roof replacements in the sense of our budget, and it's a fully budgeted item, then I was left with presenting it. So that's it. Good news, it was a $300,000 budgeted item, and if this comes in fully at the 267, we'll have 32,500 that will drop to the unallocated account in 301 when we're done. So.
Any questions for Director Harris? Thank you, sir. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards on this item?
We do not, sir.
However, if you would like to come forward and speak on the roof replacement for Fire Station 84, now's your chance to do so. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir. I move that we award the contract for the replacement of the roof at Fire Station 84 to Garland DBS in the amount not to exceed $267,420 and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
I have a motion by Councilman Binder, a second by Councilman Hypes. That was to award the replacement of roof Fire Station 84 metal roof segment to Garland DBS in an amount not to exceed $267,420 and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents. Any discussion? I'll just say that I'm glad Director Harris saw fit to fix a leaky roof in a fire station. All those in favor, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote no. And it does pass unanimously. And it's a roofing kind of night. So the next item up is the roof retrofit at the Alpharetta Community Center. Director Harris, if you once again have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, this very similar item, similar procurement process, selecting Garland. In this case, this was a budgeted item in parks for about $700,000 was the estimate we thought we would be getting, in what we received is $494,000. So there'll be a $205,000 return back to unallocated capital upon the completion of this project. Again, it's a matter of it's starting to leak and all that related to that roof.
Thanks, sir. Any questions from council? Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards on the roof retrofit?
We do not.
However, if anyone here in the public would like to come forward and speak on the roof retrofit at the Alpharetta Community Center, now's your chance to do so. Seeing no one, close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir. I move that we please award a contract for the retrofit of the roof at the Alpharetta Community Center to Garland DBS, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $494,741 and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents. Tom put that in there for
I
me.
think Mayor Pro Tem Merkel beat you to the punch. Councilman Binder had the motion, Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, I think, had the second by a hair. Any discussion? All those in favor of awarding the contract for the retrofit of the roof of Alpharetta Community Center to Garland DBS in an amount not to exceed $494,741 and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Next item up is the network refresh and update 2022-2023. Mr. Bundy, it's good to see you this evening. You have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, this request is to provide for the replacement and upgrade of the city's data network switches. This includes the core switches in the main data center that are over 10 years old. This also includes switches in City Hall, Public Safety, and Public Works that are all due for replacement. And this equipment is also a newer generation of network technology that will work more coherently and effectively with other technologies that the city is currently using and technologies that were likely to be deployed in the future. So I'm making a recommendation that you approve the replacement of network technology through Chorus 360 under the State of Georgia Networking Contract number 99999-SPD-T201-20501-0011A in the amount of $246,680.90 and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Director Bundy? Well done, sir. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards on this?
We do not, sir.
However, if anyone would like to come forward from the public and speak on the network refresh and update 2022 through 2023, now's your chance.
I would like to make an acknowledgement. One of my IT managers, Mr. Eric Wypen, who heads this up and has worked on this very diligently for the last year, really. I want to make sure you acknowledge and credit to him for helping shape this network refresh.
And we appreciate it. Seeing no other in the public coming forward, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask the council to approve the replacement of the network technology through Chorus 360 under the State of Georgia Networking Contract 99999 SPD T20120501-001A in an amount not to exceed $246,680.90 and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Second. I have a motion by Councilman Mitchell and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. And that was for the replacement of the network technology through Chorus 360 under the State of Georgia Networking Contract as outlined by Councilman Mitchell in the amount not to exceed $246,680.90 and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents. Any discussion? All those in favor, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. Mr. Bundy, once again, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Gilvin. This request is to provide for the annual replacement of technology for all the city departments. The main component of this FY 2023 request includes funding for the replacement of approximately 154 PCs, 80 iPhones, and 65 iPads. And the technology will be procured through multiple sources, including state contracts, Dell and Apple products, and the city quote process where applicable. So I'm asking for your approval for the request to provide for the annual replacement of technology for all city departments in FY 2023 in the amount of $250,000 and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Seeing none. Appreciate it, Mr. Bundy. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, sir.
However, If anyone would like to come forward and speak on this IT refresh, now's your chance. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask the council to please approve the request to provide an annual replacement of technology for all city departments in FY 2023 in an amount not to exceed $250,000. I'll authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
We have a motion by Councilman Mitchell. I think that was a second by Councilman Will. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve the annual replacement of technology for all city departments in fiscal year 2023, an amount not to exceed $250,000, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. Mr. Bundy, I believe you have one more opportunity to spend some taxpayer dollars.
Yes, sir. This is a request for the approval for the Azure Cloud Services, the 2023 renewal. These cloud services provide a large percentage of our servers and data storage for the City of Alpharetta Information Technology Systems. This is a critical part of our hybrid data center infrastructure. So I'm asking for the approval for the request to renew and award SHI, the Microsoft Azure Cloud Services, and using statewide contract 99999.spd.spd000060-003 for cloud solutions for all city departments in FY 2023 in the amount of $320,000, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for staff? Councilman Mitchell.
Mr. Bundy, thank you for being here, for all your work and your department's work on these items. When you say it goes to state contract, would you explain to the public that's listening out there, this just allows us to get the lowest price possible, is that correct?
That is exactly right. We were singled out when we first did the Azure contract now about 2.5 years ago by state contract for the City of Alpharetta to assure that we got the best price in the state for these services. And Microsoft has told us that that is the best contract price that we can get.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, sir.
But once again, you have the opportunity to come forward if you'd like to speak on this item.
Again, I'd like to single out Mr. Adam Poole. He's been with us about 6 months now. He's our IT manager in charge of the Azure Cloud Services. He's done a great job coming in to help make sure that we're getting the most efficient use and management of our services. And he has worked very diligently to help get this contract in place.
Certainly. And I appreciate your efforts to make me understand what Azure Cloud Services actually are over the last 4 years.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards on this item?
We do not, sir.
But if you would like to come forward and speak on this matter, now is your chance. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. I have a motion from council.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask the council to please approve the request to renew and award SHI, the Microsoft Azure Cloud Services, using statewide contract SWC 99999 SPD 000060-003 for cloud solutions for all city departments in the FY 2023 budget in an amount not to exceed $320,000, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
I'll second. Can you repeat that contract number? I'll second it.
I have a motion by Councilman Mitchell and a second by Councilman Binder, and that was for the renewal of Microsoft Azure Cloud Services awarded to SHI, the Microsoft Azure Cloud Services IaaS, using statewide contract as outlined by Councilman Mitchell for cloud solutions for all city departments in fiscal year 2023 in the amount not to exceed $320,000, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote yes, otherwise accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. Thank you for keeping us running, and your department as well.
Thank you for all of your support. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
You're welcome, Mr. Bundy. So that will wrap up the new business portion of tonight's meeting. Now is the opportunity for public comment. So if there's anyone here that has been waiting for your opportunity to come forward and speak, now is your chance. Seeing no one, we'll close public comment. Do we have any reports this evening? Councilman Hipes.
Yes, a report from Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Arts. We, as a council, have formed and charged the Arts Commission to vet public sculptures in the city. We try to get ourselves as council members out of that business and have persons on the Arts Commission who we believe would be serve the city well in that capacity. And so coming forward soon, we will have on the consent agenda the recommendations of the Arts Commission with respect to their findings. In the event that anybody feels strongly on council to remove something from the consent agenda, we can obviously do so. We will always maintain veto power, but rather than taking it up as a separate item to debate each issue of art in the public place, we're going to let the Arts Commission go ahead and put forward their recommendations, and then it'll be on the consent agenda subject to having it removed.
Have you double-checked for height?
That's why we have veto capacity. So this
One more reason to pay very close attention to the consent agendas.
But anyway, that's my report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any other reports? Seeing none. Well, this evening, I would have to call for a motion to recess into executive session.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, a second by Councilman Binder. All those in favor of recessing into executive session, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote no. And it does pass unanimously. So we will be recessing into executive session. We will return in a few minutes, hopefully. Thank you very much.